NTV, Central and Western Nebraska's most watched news. This is NTV News at noon.
Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Scharf. A lot of the area saw snow this morning. Let's check in with Tim Wright with a check of the forecast. Tim?
Well, and the big problem this morning, Lauren, some of those roads were extremely treacherous. And in fact, you know, this afternoon, it's not like we're warming up all that much to melt off the snow. In fact, temperatures right now for most areas are below the freezing mark, and there are still going to be some slick roads across the region, so please be careful. Sitting at 30 in Grand Island and Albion, 24 in North Platte. The problem with these temperatures is this is going to feel downright warm compared to what's on the way tomorrow and Sunday. The weekend looking very frigid. I'll talk more about that coming up in your full forecast here in just a few minutes.
The president is coming to Nebraska for the first time in his presidency. He will be visiting Omaha after his final State of the Union address, as well as Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He will be making a stop in Omaha on Wednesday, then will be in Louisiana Thursday. The White House says Obama is expected to talk about progress under his leadership, as well as an agenda for his remaining year and the years to come to keep it going. The Omaha Police Department believe Officer Nick Canigla's use of force was justified when he tried to break up a high school fight last month at Millard High School. Video footage examined during the investigation show Canigla intervening when the fight and getting punched in the head. The student who punched the officer wasn't charged for assault on an officer because the student confessed, saying he wasn't aware he was hitting an officer. In northwestern Nebraska, a state audit found almost $199,000 in Cherry County funds is unaccounted for. State auditors discovered more than 1,000 credit card transactions totaling $83,000 appear to be from former Deputy County Clerk Monica Bristow personal use when she worked for the county. She pleaded guilty in August. Bristow will be sentenced on January 15th. A Broken Bow man convicted of kidnapping has his case overturned by the state Supreme Court today. Tyler Bain was convicted by a Custer County jury, but the Supreme Court says his right to a fair trial was violated. Bain's attorney left the case, but documents about the defense strategy were mistakenly left in the court file as evidence, and several prosecutors saw that information. While the prosecutor who ultimately tried the case did not have access to that, the Supreme Court ruled in Bain's favor. It is possible he could be retried. The Nebraska Supreme Court has ruled that Curtis Lavalleur can't be retried on an attempted sexual assault charge because a jury has already cleared him of some of the allegations made by prosecutors. The court issued its ruling today. He was convicted of first-degree attempted sexual assault but acquitted of first-degree sexual assault. Prosecutors filed an amended charge against Lavalleur last year, alleging that he attempted to rape his accuser when he knew she was incapable of resisting. According to the Bureau of Business Research at UNL, businesses remain optimistic about employment over the next 6 months, but they have mixed expectations for sales. The survey shows 13% of responding businesses expect to increase employment over the next 6 months, while just 2% expect to reduce it. The outlook for sales was split, with 25% of responding businesses predicting sale increases and 25% predicting sale decreases. The remainder expected no change in sales. Now to national news, where a United Airlines flight was forced to make an emergency landing. A passenger screaming and reportedly attacking a flight attendant last night, much of it caught on camera. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez reports.
Police questioning this woman after an in-flight outburst last night that forced pilots to make an emergency landing.
Do you need any assistance besides just the police at the gate?
The United Express flight with 69 passengers and 4 crew members on board took off from New York's LaGuardia Airport just after 7 p.m. headed for Chicago. 30 minutes into the flight, the passenger reportedly asked if she could get off the plane. When a flight attendant said no,
She was scratching her face.
passengers claimed the woman lost control.
The girl went crazy and attacked her and started scratching her face up and ripped her necklace off.
At one point, the woman reportedly yelled that she was bipolar. Witnesses say she started attacking another woman, and that's when 3 other passengers stepped in.
Grabbed her and pulled her down on the ground and subdued her by tying her up with some seatbelts, and some guy used his necktie to tie her wrists or her ankles.
Pilots diverted to Detroit, where police were waiting.
Okay.
They then handcuffed the woman, took her off the plane and into custody. The flight then continued on to Chicago. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, New York.
Back here in the state, a Nebraska senator wants to build up riverfronts as social and economic hubs. Senator Heath Mello of Omaha introduced a bill that would allow Nebraska towns and cities to establish special development districts along the state's major rivers. Mello says many Nebraska cities were established along riverfronts but have since grown away from the banks, leaving blight and abandoned properties behind. The bill would establish guidelines for cities to fund, manage, promote, and develop those areas. Farmers go back to the future, turning to old-time solutions to improve the soil. Cover crops are growing in popularity. You may see turnips and rye, radishes and hairy vetch growing in fields this time of year. Keith Burns of Bladen was concerned it would use valuable moisture, but says that hasn't been the case.
These cover crops probably weren't using as much moisture as we had feared. Number 2, we really saw how the soil was changing and responding by having these things growing out there during a period of time when the soil would normally just be bare and fallow. And number 3, we saw how well the cattle did when we were grazing the cattle on these cover crops.
The farmers plant these crops with no intention to harvest them. The idea is to improve the soil, but it can also be part of the cattle business. We'll take a closer look tonight on NTV News. Fans from all over the world packed Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln for volleyball last night. The Dominican Republic beat Puerto Rico. The United States and Canada went head-to-head as well, and nearly 5,000 fans cheered on their teams. The Olympic volleyball trials kicked off in Lincoln with many teams hoping to punch their ticket to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Lincoln found out it would be hosting the tournament last year. It lasts through Saturday, and the winning team will head to Brazil in August. And it was a wild night at Donald Trump rally in Vermont. The GOP frontrunner was met with protests during his campaign event. Meanwhile, Maine's governor has ignited a firestorm with controversial remarks being called a racist rant. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest.
Today is on to South Carolina for Donald Trump. But overnight, a volatile welcome in the liberal backyard of Bernie Sanders.
Get him out. Take him out.
The GOP frontrunner interrupted, drowned out, and screamed at by demonstrators in Burlington, Vermont.
Get him out of here. Don't give him his coat. Keep his coat.
Hundreds of people cheered on the billionaire, while those protesters got the boot, many of them supporters of Sanders. The Vermont senator and Trump couldn't be any more different on policy, but their campaigns are both drawing big crowds.
Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump both are fishing from a similar pond, which is independent voters who are working class whites.
Sanders was on the phone with political group Democracy for America, while Trump was in his home state.
I would love to run against Donald Trump.
But there's another political controversy brewing involving Chris Christie and his supporter, Maine Governor Paul LePage, who said this about drug traffickers in his state.
These are guys on the name D-Money, Smoothie, Shifty. Incidentally, half the time they impregnate a young white girl before they leave.
This morning, LePage held a news conference to say he's not perfect, and he blamed the media.
Personally, I don't really care what the press thinks about me. What I do care is I want the drug dealers to know I'm after them.
Christie's rivals pounced, demanding he renounce the Maine governor. As of this morning, no response from Christie. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
Here in the state, the YWCA of Adams County is ready to help area teens dress for upcoming prom season. Gowns for Good will offer reasonably priced dresses and shoes for prom. Dresses may be purchased on any of the 4 sale dates, February 3rd, 10th, and 17th, or 6th or 9th at the YWCA in Hastings. Gently used gowns can be dropped off before February 1st. Now, with that record Powerball jackpot, certainly no one will be complaining if they win the $800 million prize, but it could cause some problems, especially if you're in an office pool. ABC's TJ Holmes tells us what you need to know if you're part of one.
The lottery office pool seems like good, clean fun until you actually win and the fighting begins. This group of California coworkers barely had time to celebrate their $315 million prize when they were sued by 4 coworkers who claimed they had oral agreements to be part of the office pool. Then this construction worker in New Jersey, he was in charge of buying the lottery tickets for his work pool, but without telling anyone, claimed a $38 million jackpot as his alone. He was sued and lost. Confusion, lack of clarity, miscommunication, and greed can come into play when hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake. I went to the office of Home Polish, where 15 of the interior designers are in the Powerball pool. Or is it 16?
Are you in the pool?
I thought it was in the pool.
Wait a minute, y'all don't know if the boss is in the pool?
We have it written down, I don't know.
This is the most unprepared pool I have ever seen.
The group has just gone in together on 77 Powerball tickets with no plan of what they do if they actually won.
We'll work it out before
they draw it on Saturday.
But it's not all bad. This real estate office in Florida hit it big, and even though the new girl had no money for a ticket, they still cut her in.
The fact that we got to share in an experience most never have in a lifetime, winning a Powerball, we grew closer.
Now they're all really good, really rich friends, and ready to get even richer.
I feel 100% confident that in this group of lottery tickets, we will hit the 700 million.
I gotta ask you, have you gotten into the office pool?
Oh, very much so. I never miss one.
I need to, because I haven't yet.
You still have time.
And it's such a big jackpot, I can't resist. You know?
The rumor is, if somebody doesn't win it this weekend, it might get up to $1 billion.
That's
like
crazy.
That's the rumor. Can you imagine that?
Oh my goodness. Well, I better do it then if it does.
Yeah, if you're one of those people that waits for the big ones, well, here's your big one. So as far as the weather goes, and who knows, maybe come Monday I won't have to do this anymore. We'll find out. Temperatures are going to be pretty cold out there this afternoon. There are still going to be pockets of light snow showers that'll be drifting through, and then the really cold air starts to move in tonight. Full forecast is up next.
Still to come here on NTV News at noon. Will Donald Trump be forbidden from entering the UK? Not if they want to have a new business of his own in the country. And GM is unveiling a new electric car, one they say will change the future. Stay with us.
NTV, where your news comes first. With Marilyn Barnett and Tim Wright weather. This is NTV News at noon.
Time for First Alert Weather with Tim Wright, certified by the American Meteorological Society for excellence in weather forecasting.
Welcome back. You finally made it to Friday. We've officially been in the new year for a week now, and, well, we've got some of the coldest air of the year on the way for the weekend. I know that's not saying a lot, but we've got some very cold temps coming in tomorrow into the weekend on Sunday there as well. 30, 25, and 17. Now, here's the problem with this 17. That might be as warm as we get tomorrow. I think tomorrow's going to be one of those days where you wake up, it's about 17. Temps continue to fall and then try to rebound a little bit, but don't quite get back up to that 17 mark. Here's a live look around Lake Maloney. Now, we're looking off to the north here, and if you look close enough, you can see a few flakes still streaking by. There are some pockets of snow showers still out there. The temp's about 24 with a north wind at 15. It'll be blowing those snowflakes around at least a little bit. Now, live look at Viper radar, and you just take a look at this. You don't see much. You just see a few spots here and there. But if we flip over to the snow tracker mode and we adjust the radar just a little bit, there are certainly some areas of flurries that are still going to be possible around Central City to Grand Island, Holdridge. We've got a few flakes here outside of the station. Northern Custer County back towards Burwell as well. We're going to see at least a little bit in the way of flurries and light snow showers. They probably won't amount to much, but just don't be surprised if you see a few flakes around for the rest of the day. All right, your snowfall. Shelby picked up almost 4.5 inches. Fairfield around 3.5 inches. Hastings 2.5. David City 2.5. We saw the band set up just around and southeast of Hastings, and that's where about 2 to 4 inches of snow fell. Outside of that, the totals fell off very quickly. Kearney, maybe 1/4 of an inch of snowfall. That's about it. You didn't see much. 26 in McCook. Grand Island now down to 29. Same in Albion, 24 in Thetford. It's a cold, breezy day. Those north winds at 15 to 25 means the wind chill factor is in the mid-teens. It is not a very nice afternoon, and it's going to get even worse over the weekend. Now that upper level low continues to move its way to the northeast. The secondary one trekking a little bit further to the south. So I think we're just going to see a little bit of leftover energy from this system, promoting some light snow showers here and there as we go through the rest of the day. Overall, cloudy, cold, and a little windy. Tonight is when the cold air really starts to move in. And as I mentioned, when you wake up tomorrow morning, that might be as warm as some of you get for your Saturday. We could clear out a little bit late, but I don't think it's going to be enough to help us any. Now, we're not expecting much more in the way of snowfall for the next couple of days. You know, maybe 1/4 of an inch out of some of those snow showers today, but I even think that's a little much. 31 the high today for the Tri-Cities. Not great, but better than what's coming down the road. 17 tonight, and tomorrow the high is about 17. Yeah, it's not going to be real fun. Okay, highs this afternoon. Most of you should make it right about that 30-degree mark, maybe a touch warmer. We've got mid-teens on the way tonight, and we just don't go anywhere tomorrow. Those temps, like I said, they will fall. Try to climb a little bit, but I don't think you'll get back. And then Sunday morning, about 2 when you wake up in the Tri-Cities. Northern Nebraska is going to be below 0. But we do rebound to 21, 31 Monday. Another shot of cold air Tuesday. Middle of the week doesn't look too bad. 39 by Thursday.
I lost power. Most of Southwest Kearney lost
because
power
of
last
the
night.
car accident.
Yeah, well, I'm just glad it wasn't this weekend.
No
because
kidding.
the weather. Oh,
No kidding. Make sure you got those heaters ready to go.
All right, thanks, Tim. If you've been thinking about improving your home, then this event will help. The Kearney Home and Builders Show is kicking off today. That's where we find our own Melissa Newman, who joins us now live. Melissa, you're out at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds. What's going on there?
Well, whether you're looking to improve the outside of your home or the inside, or your budget's big or small, this event has something for you. And I'm joined with Tammy Moore from the Kearney Area Builders Association. So can you tell us a little bit about the event this weekend?
Sure. This is an inside event at the Kearney Expo Center, and we have 120 vendors. And like Melissa said, we have something from the outside of the house, automobiles, tractors, lawn equipment, clear down to what you would use in the kitchen. Trends. We have builders here you can talk to about new home building, remodeling, just about anything you could think of that has to do with a house has to do with this event.
And we're standing in front of a picturesque background, but actually on the other side is a hot tub. So really you can come and get a lot of ideas for your home too, even if it's kind of outside your budget, right?
Absolutely, right. We have a lot of good ideas, and people are so friendly at this expo that you can talk and ask anything that you want.
And I love animals, so one thing I'm super excited about is the wildlife exhibit.
Right, we wanted to make it as family friendly as possible, so we have actually an animal adventure for the children starting at the odd hours of the show and running 4 times on Saturday and twice on Sunday. So come on out, bring the kids, it's nice and warm, lots of running around area.
And talking about the vendors, you said there's 120, but a lot of them are actually from right here and around the surrounding areas.
We have a tremendous mix of local suppliers and professionals, and then the regional area types that cover all of these type of home shows are there too, so you get quite a mix, but a lot of local support.
All right, well, we are out here at the Buffalo County Fairgrounds. The event is kicking off at 1 o'clock, goes until Sunday. We'll have the information for that on our website at nebraska.tv. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Melissa. It sounds like a great event to go inside this weekend. Thanks. Ahead on NTV News at noon, how Chinese economic turmoil is affecting U.S. stocks. We'll have the latest. And Apple had record-breaking app sales over the week holidays. We'll tell you just how much they sold. Keep it here. Well, Donald Trump is threatening to cancel a $1 billion investment towards his 2 Scottish golf resorts if he's banned from traveling to the UK. More than 570,000 people have signed a petition calling on the UK government to bar Trump from visiting the country. It was in response to the Republican presidential candidate calling for a temporary ban on Muslims entering the U.S. The petition will be debated by lawmakers on January 18th. General Motors unveils its newest plug-in car. Check out the 2017 Chevy Bolt. The Bolt is meant to be an affordable long-range electric vehicle capable of taking a 200-mile trip without recharging. GM is calling it a game changer. The car's expected sticker price about $30,000 after tax incentives. Apple says during the week of Christmas and New Year's Day, customers spent over $1 billion on apps and in-app purchases. Apple said on Wednesday, New Year's Day 2016 was the most popular day in app history, with customers spending more than $144 million. Now to the latest on the market sell-off after deepening economic turmoil in China shook markets worldwide yesterday, causing the worst start to the U.S. markets in history. Trading in China is up this morning. So what will this mean for the U.S. markets today, and how will it impact your family's finances? Here's ABC's Lana Zak.
Finally, a good trading day on the Chinese markets. After previously sparking global market panics over fears of a slowing Chinese economy, the Shanghai Composite closed 2% higher at the end of trading on Friday. That's in contrast to Thursday, when Chinese stocks fell 7% and trading was suspended just 30 minutes after opening, which fueled a nosedive on Wall Street. The Dow closed down nearly 400 points yesterday. And with all those investors pulling their hair, average Americans may be looking at their investments and retirement funds with concern. So, what should you do? First, experts say don't sell or change your 401k in a panic.
If you end up selling when the market's down, you're setting yourself up for losses potentially.
Next, realize that the sell-offs may present an opportunity to purchase stocks at a discount.
If there are stocks out there that you've been following over time that in your opinion have been too expensive for you to purchase, this might be the time to step in.
Finally, take advantage of the benefits. Oil prices at their lowest levels in 12 years may be a boon to your family's finances.
This is just a terrific thing for people heating their homes, for people buying cars, for people driving, and that's free money in people's pockets.
And one other piece of good financial news, the December jobs report out now with nearly 300,000 new jobs created. Lana Zak, ABC News, Washington.
Time now for a look at your market report. We'll start with the Nebraska feedlots. when it comes to looking up the latest in ag news, head over to our website, nebraska.tv, and click on NTV's Grow. After the break, are Americans getting the too much salt is a bad thing message? And find out how cardboard helped to save an infant's life. That story and much more coming up.
This is NTV News at noon.
Welcome back to NTV News at noon. Let's take a look at those headlines for you. The president is coming to Nebraska for the first time. He will be visiting Omaha after his final State of the Union address, as well as Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He will be making a stop in Omaha on Wednesday, then he will be heading to Louisiana Thursday. The White House says Obama is expected to talk about progress under his leadership, as well as an agenda for his remaining year and the years to come to keep it going. A Broken Bow man convicted of kidnapping has his case overturned by the state Supreme Court today. Tyler Bain was convicted by a Custer County jury, but the Supreme Court says his right to a fair trial was violated. Bain's attorney left the case, but documents about the defense strategy were mistakenly left in the court file as evidence, and several prosecutors saw that information. While the prosecutor who ultimately tried the case did not have access to that, the Supreme Court ruled in Bain's favor. It is possible he could be retried. Icy roads also a factor in another accident last night. A FedEx semi overturned and landed on its side on Interstate 80 near the Minden exit. Authorities say the driver wasn't hurt. And about that weather, I mean, we're still looking at snow on the ground for much of the area. Let's head over to Tim Wright with the latest. Tim?
Lauren, and those roads are still going to be a little treacherous in some locations. I mean, the road crews can only do so much. There are still going to be pockets of slick roads here and there, so please just be careful as you're headed out. And we still have some light snow falling across the area, and we're going to have at least pockets of light snow showers kind of off and on throughout the day. A little snow shower developing by Hastings, some flurries out towards Holdridge and Lexington, even up in parts of north central Nebraska. There are still going to be at least a few areas of very light snow showers. Temperatures chilly, mid to upper 20s, around 34 in Lincoln, and we're not going to climb a whole lot more the rest of the day, but boy, it's tomorrow where these wind chill values of 15 to 16, that might be how warm we are at all for your Saturday. We are still looking at a bitter shot of cold air coming in for the weekend. Highs today, upper 20s to mid 30s. I think most of us tomorrow see temps in the teens.
All right, thanks, Tim. Time now for your noon checkup. For years now, we've been hearing that we need to cut back on salt, but are Americans getting the message? A new report may surprise you. With more, here's Dr. Timothy Johnson.
It's sprinkled on our pretzels and infused into our popcorn. Salt is a key ingredient in so much of what Americans find delicious. It's also something that most of us know we should be eating a bit less of. But today, a new CDC report reveals that despite all the warnings, most of us are still consuming too much sodium. According to the study, nearly 9 in 10 adults and more than 9 in 10 children take in more sodium than they should. For adults, this means exceeding 2,300 milligrams a day, and for kids, 1,500 milligrams a day. Men are the worst offenders, with a staggering 98% exceeding these amounts. Women not doing much better, with 80% going over the limit. Where are we getting all this sodium? Mostly in bread, deli meats, pizza, poultry, soup, and savory snacks. So, what can you do? Nix the cans of soup and frozen veggies in favor of fresh ingredients whenever you can. Read labels to know how much salt you're getting. And especially for your kids, skip snacks that you know are full of salt. Your heart and their hearts will thank you.
A toy-like cardboard contraption that sells for less than $20 online has helped doctors save a baby's life. Here's the story of baby Tegan and how Google Cardboard gave her a new lease on life.
I see the baby's heart. I see it in 3D. I can see it from the front, the back. I can see it from the top, and I can see it from the bottom. Each one of these is a 2D image, but when I close it and I look through the lenses, then I get 3D, and I can move it just by turning my head. And you know, for a surgeon, that's everything. He knows exactly what he's going to get when he opens up that baby's chest.
That is so cool. You move and it moves the heart. It's almost like you're in her heart.
It's revolutionary because the way that we would plan surgery in the past is we took a two-dimensional image, and then in our mind we would have to process that and try to come up with an idea of what we were going to see when the baby's chest was open.
So your team sat in a room and all of you guys were doing this?
A bunch of us, yeah. Minutes and millimeters make the difference between getting it right and getting it wrong. Once we saw these images, we said, wait a second, we can figure this out. I think this is the difference between her living and dying.
For weeks after her surgery, baby Tegan was taken off a ventilator and is breathing on her own. Doctors expect her to go home within the next 2 weeks and make a full recovery. And we'll be right back.
Welcome back. Now, if you like peanut butter and jelly, and you haven't really tried it with anything else like me, outside of the, your
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
We were thinking to go with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but we decided to think
something else.
Something new.
Kelly and Sherma from Hope Harbor are joining us now. What are we making? Because this is a lot of ingredients for peanut butter jelly.
Yeah, peanut butter jelly turkey meatballs.
Interesting. Yeah.
And literally will eventually be a mouthful.
Yes.
See?
It will be. It will be.
How do we get started here?
Well, first of all, we are going to take and start the mixture that's going to go into the turkey meatballs. So the peanut butter, we have a half a cup of peanut butter.
All right.
And then a quarter cup of jelly. Can you grab the Worcestershire? I missed that.
Oh, yeah.
Quarter cup of jelly.
And does it matter what kind of flavor jelly you use?
You could actually use many different, you could even use preserves or anything you want. We use grape jelly, just their standard peanut butter and jelly.
Okay.
And then 2 tablespoons of the Worcestershire sauce. Okay. And then 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then some black pepper and red pepper.
And the minced ginger.
The minced ginger.
That's what that is.
So that's fresh
I had
grated.
no idea.
Have you ever seen
Fresh
ginger?
grated ginger.
Fresh ginger?
I don't know that I
Okay,
have.
I'm going to find it because you got to see
Isn't it a root?
You have to see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so ginger root, and you just take this and you
Okay.
grate it.
Okay.
Not exactly a
So
chef,
this
so.
gets all mixed up, and then it gets put into the turkey.
Okay.
Now the good part about this is the people that are making the appetizers for the Hope Harbor
Yeah, they're
event,
professionals.
They're pros.
Yeah, talk a little bit
we're
about this.
amateurs.
You guys got
Yeah.
something coming up, so.
Yeah, you see this spread Hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
It's
clever.
Hope Harbor's annual event. This is the 4th annual. Serving Up Hope Battle PB&J.
Oh
so
my.
we've got 4 chefs, very popular, I think. One of them is from Cactus Jack's. Jeff
Can't
Leo.
go wrong with that one.
Oh yeah. Kim Nelson from Kitty's Roadhouse
Great
in
things
Hastings.
about Kitty's Roadhouse. Great things.
Yes. Angela Lautzenheiser from Quaker Steak
I've
and
heard
Lube.
great things about that as well.
Yes, and then
This is gonna be a tough one.
Carney's own Sozo's.
Yes, which is great
Wow.
food.
Tough competition here, I think.
It is going to be tough.
There's not going to be any losers. Let's put it that way. If you're going there to eat, you're going to win.
Egg.
Yeah.
That's right.
Forgot about the egg.
Oh, don't forget the egg.
Don't forget the egg, so we'll mix that in there.
Yeah, that
binds
needs
it
to be-
together.
So where can people sign up to register?
I pay attention when the wife's
Where
cooking.
can people sign up to register for, to be able to attend?
You can actually go online, hopeharborgi.org, or you can call Hope Harbor 308-385-5190.
Excellent.
Yep.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Okay.
You remembered it. Good work. Good work.
All right.
And so either one of those ways, and you can buy tables of 10.
Okay. Perfect.
If you want to get all your friends to come.
Bring all your friends.
And every year it's sold out, so we encourage people don't miss out on the opportunity to get your tickets because it's just a few short weeks away.
Right. They just went on sale this week.
Well, thank you, ladies, very much.
Yeah.
Look at these.
Thank you very
So
much.
yes, you make the meatball. You make them into meatballs. You bake them. You put a little of the peanut butter stuff that you reserve on the top.
Good to go.
Yeah.
They're good.
Great. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. We'll also have that recipe on our website, Nebraska.tv. Don't miss out on Serving Hope. We'll be back.
Time for First Alert Weather with Tim Wright, certified by the American Meteorological Society for excellence in weather forecasting.
Welcome back. You've made it to Friday. We've been in 2016 for about a week now, and the coldest air of the year. I know it doesn't mean much yet, but it's coming this weekend. Tomorrow and Sunday look to be pretty chilly across the area. 30, 25, and 17. It's not exactly warm today, but it's going to be better than what we've got on the way this weekend. In fact, that 17 tomorrow morning might be as warm as some of you get. This is a pretty good shot of cold air that's going to be moving in. But first we got to get through the snow because there is still a little bit of snow out there. We look at the snow trackers. We kind of adjust the settings a little bit. We've got some snow showers developing in Adams County, flurries elsewhere all the way back towards Lexington, maybe even around the Grand Island and Central City areas. Burwell, you might be picking up a little bit of a light snow shower. And one thing I've noticed on radar so far is that some of the snow, it's a fairly fine snowflake that's coming down, so it's not always being picked up by radar, but there certainly are some light snow showers. They will continue to be a possibility as we go through the rest of the day. I don't anticipate much in the way of any of accumulations, not like we saw last night where by Shelby they picked up almost 4.5 inches of snowfall. Hastings, you picked up around 2.5 inches. I mentioned yesterday that there would be a narrow band of around 2 to 4 inches. It was looking like it'd be closer to the Tri-Cities. It ended up from about Hastings east-southeastward is where we saw that narrow band. Either side of it, you really didn't end up with a whole lot of snow, to be honest with you. 26 up in O'Neill, Lincoln's at 34, 28 in Phillipsburg. Here's a live look outside of Hastings. Now again, you picked up around 2.5 inches of snow. There were some heavier amounts just southeast of Hastings, but certainly a cold afternoon. You're sitting at 29, north winds at 19. That's the big kicker right now. You can handle it when it's a little cold, a little chilly, but then you got a north wind at 15 to 25. Makes it feel like it's in the mid-teens. You got wind chill values of 11 in Broken Bow, North Platte. Feels like 8 in Imperial. Now the real problem is your Saturday, for a lot of you, take that 16 in Grand Island, that might be a fairly good temp to just sit at all day tomorrow because this cold air is going to come rushing in tonight out of the northern plains. Once this little low pressure system kicks out, the cold air will fill in behind it, and it's going to be a noticeable drop in temps tomorrow. Now this afternoon, a few flurries, a few flakes, cloudy, breezy, cold. Here comes the cold air tonight. And then tomorrow, it's going to hover around, and for many of us, we see the temps fall and then not much of a rebound at all. Do not expect much more in the way of snowfall. This model's trying to put down a ½ inch in Grand Island. I think even that's overdone. I think it's mainly going to be some light snow showers, a few flakes here and there. 31, the high today for the Tri-Cities. Tonight you drop down to 17, and then 17 is pretty much the high tomorrow. It's going to be a very cold Saturday. Today's highs upper 20s to mid 30s. Single-digit lows tonight up north, teens elsewhere, and then we really don't go anywhere tomorrow. You wake up Sunday morning, get ready for the cold to get even worse. 2 the low, 21 the high. Below 0 lows Saturday night into Sunday up north. Another shot of cold air Tuesday, a little warmer Wednesday and Thursday. That's a look at your First Alert forecast. We're going to send it back to Maryland.
Well, times are changing, even as new gets ready to start here. The trends, their social, political movements, they often affect the products and brands of the future as well. Ford just released a report that details that, and the company's trend expert, Cheryl Connelly, is joining us here to tell us a little bit more about this. So I guess, first of all, what are some of the consumer trends that you identified, especially in that report?
For 2015, we kept an eye on what are the patterns of behaviors that we kept seeing. And 2/3 of the people we surveyed around the world said that the world is a worse place to live in today than it was when they were growing up. And that was a very sobering fact, but not surprising when you consider the kind of concerns with economic crises throughout Europe last year, fallen icons, the Syrian crisis, or even the increasing frequency that we see terrorism. But despite all of this, we were more interested in the resilience society continues to demonstrate. So our collection for 2016 is all about inspiration, ingenuity, and identity.
What are some examples that you can show us here?
So one thing that we think people are dealing with is a sense of time poverty, and I think that's universal around the world, all ages. People feel like they're constantly on call, and that can be very tiresome. And so there seems to be a movement to try to carve out more time. You know, the average American spends 4.7 hours interfacing with some sort of smart device or smartphones or tablets. And even medical experts are saying that this is resulting in decreased posture. People are developing what's known as text neck because they're constantly pitching their neck forward to constantly stare at their phones. And not only is it bad for your posture, it can actually decrease your lung capacity. And so people have to think about how they're spending their time. And when you think about a car company, your daily commute is inextricably tied to time management. So if we can help alleviate that concern by delivering GPS data, keeping you connected to the people that are most important to you, or even shortening the sales process, then we hope that we are improving the experience for our customers.
And there's also a little bit about a retail revolution in consumers, don't you think, the behavior there when it comes to products? What are you seeing ahead here into the next year?
You know, I think consumers have moved beyond this era of excess, and we want fewer things, but when we purchase things, it's got to be investment grade quality. We want to make sure that it's a good experience, not just the product itself, but the brands that we're engaging with. And so we want it to be a rich experience.
And then also, if we have questions and we want to take a look at some of this, maybe more that's in the report, where do we go for more information?
You can go to FordTrends.com to download the entire collection.
Great. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for joining us here. And if you do have questions, remember, you can always go to our website as well, nebraska.tv. Good morning. Here's a look at some more information for you as that winter weather is coming in. Just like you need to make sure your car is tuned up, you need to make sure that your heart is ready for these cold days as well. So in fact, Americans, you might not know this, 30% greater risk of death from heart attacks during the winter months. So here to explain a little bit more of the impact of heart disease in Nebraska, Dr. Shaw's joining us here. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's first of all talk about heart disease. We know this is a problem in the U.S., but can you kind of tell us the scope? How big of a problem really is this?
Sure. Heart disease is a very significant problem in the U.S. We actually have about 15 million Americans who are diagnosed with heart disease. It is the #1 cause of death in the U.S. Every year, we have 700,000 people going to hospitals, emergency rooms with heart attacks. And what is even more important to know is that 20% of those are actually fatal. This puts tremendous burden on our economy. Imagine you got about $300 billion plus getting used in healthcare expenditure, direct or indirect, because of heart disease.
So as far as some of the most important findings, let's talk about heart emergencies. During this time of year specifically, what are you seeing there?
So during the winter months, we have to be even more alert. We actually have 30% increase in heart-related events such as heart attacks, especially during the months of December, between December 25th and January 7th. We see increase in heart attacks. December 25th being one of the days where we have the most heart attack related deaths. December 26th being the second highest, and January 1st the third highest. So there are many reasons, possibly because of increased demand on the heart muscle, maybe a phenomenon of vasoconstriction, changes in our hormonal balances, but there's a definite increase in heart disease and heart disease related events such as heart attacks during winter months.
Talk about some treatments, for instance, and also stent technology. How is that helping to save lives?
Yeah, the advances in stent technology has been tremendous. We actually have varieties of ways we can treat heart disease. You know, we can treat with medications. Obviously, some people require bypass surgery. But over the last decade and a half, what is really tremendous is some of the advances in stents. What are stents? Stents are basically metallic mesh tubes which are inserted over a wire into those arteries, which opens up those arteries, restores blood.
We're learning information about an investigation at Hastings Public School about students handing out drug-laced candy. Officers learned that 2 teen boys had been distributing candy which contained THC to other students in the form of chocolate bars and hard candy. Police say the boys have been issued citations for possession of marijuana and distribution of a controlled substance. At this time, there are 5 students known to have consumed some of the THC-laced food products. Earlier this week, one student became ill from the candy and had to go to medical attention. We'll have much more coming up tonight at 5. Goodbye.